My god, folks, you really cut it close with that poll on the channel, but in the end we do have a decision. As close as it is, it does give us something to think about. We are now currently, of course, on an obligatory pilgrimage in which we wanted to kind of look like the ideal ruler, a pious ruler, somebody legitimized by religion. We might not be particularly zealous, but we do believe in God, we do believe in the church and everything that comes with it. And as we are doing this pilgrimage, our brother, a man that we call ally because we have grown closer despite, of course, all the difficulties during this conflict, has outright declared war and, of course, with that, direct hostility towards the papal states themselves, towards the shepherd of all Christianity. And you said that we wouldn't be too happy about this. Now, I'll be honest with you, I actually find this incredibly interesting. I expected the opposite, but it seems that you folks aren't as bloodthirsty as I thought you were. And I actually really like this, because it brings us into something that has a long tradition in this particular period, and indeed in the area from which we hail. Normans and many other French people, in particularly down there in Aquitaine, were involved in a movement that was incredibly important and that I think we value a whole lot more than our brother. You said that I shouldn't join him. Now, I will tell you, of course, outright that if I were to join him, I would have to do it manually. He cannot physically invite me. It's impossible because I am his vassal. I can, however, offer to join his war. And I think that it is rather believable that as he rides north, and as he knows that I am, of course, present right here on Monte Gargano, that he would send a missive, a messenger that would state, hey, your brother, your liege, is going to war for, of course, your family. Do remember that it is our sister. There she is, Emma de Hauteville. Nope, that is not actually her. Okay, try again. There she is, Dame Vredesende. Dame Vredesende is married to Sir Richard of Drangeau's-Menhir, and he was ousted by Benevento, who we know to be quite the terrible person. Duke Alandulf VI right here, he sees us as, without a doubt, incredibly hostile. He wants to knock us dead, and well, he's trying his best. He ousted our family, he took Capua, and the Pope let it happen. There's plenty of reason to be against him, there's plenty of reason to move against him, but what he is in breach of now, and by he I of course mean our brother, is something much more severe. To understand where our character comes from here, I want to take a look at something that is very often overlooked, including in Crusader Kings. Today I want to talk about the movement of the Peace and Truce of God. Those were kind of separate issues, but ultimately they go together. This is incredibly important if you specifically are from France in this period. It will have impacted you, and it will be something that you either, well, are directly supporting, or at the very least will be appreciative of, because what has happened right here, what happened in this period, was so vital to the people that this was the very first popular peace movement, I believe, in history, although I could be wrong on the in history, most certainly the very first popular peace movement in Western Europe. But essentially, I want you to imagine that you live in the period after the prime of the Carolingians. Of course, we are fully aware that we have somebody such as Kaiser Karl the Great right here, Charlemagne, and he is magnificent. His reign is not just successful in terms of foreign politics, like taking over and dispersing the Saxon tribes, but also is very, very proactive in establishing, well, a rulership that can read, that can write, that is legitimized by virtue of a central authority. He introduces a system that isn't too dissimilar from what we have in-game, of course, from the Greeks, where essentially, oh my god, are they all converting? No, they're not. Okay, this is just one heresy that I randomly found. Okay, but essentially they were administrative government, if you want to coin it in game terms. They were most of the time not inheriting, although, well, this differed. These are the core Frankish areas. Here, of course, he had much more control over the rulers that he put in charge, and down here there was a bit more autonomy. But the idea is that there is a new type of standard for who gets to rule, how they get to rule, and how all of these decisions are made. The problem is that once he passes away, the Carolingians, while they do retain power, and for quite some time actually are very successful, well, they start to lose their grasp on the region. Here we have something that then we call banal laws, whereas previously the Carolingians motivated, well, the justification of authority, of course, based on their own central authority, all of a sudden that central authority, I mean, you can see it right here, right? Things get a little bit dicey. In particular, yet again, in southern France. Southern France had a different governance structure, ultimately making it so that if you were living there, you had a really good chance to be a victim of castellanization of the area. This means more and more castles are being built and more lords are not yet quite living in well-defined territorial orders, which means you might have two castles nearby and they might demand tribute that is actually in direct kind of opposition to one another. So who do you listen to? A or B, or neither, or maybe all of them at the same time? It's difficult, and this brings hardship to the people of France. There's no central authority. The French state at this time is indeed rather underdeveloped. There are too many conflicts up north. Things aren't really permeating further down into the south. This brings a difficult scenario for the people that live here. Now, it is actually something that is kind of contested by the scholars, by modern scholars that is, whether there was actually an increase in violence towards commoners and so on and so forth. But what we do know is that at the very least, the people that were living in this area perceived that there was an increase in violence and the potential for violence, making it so that they needed something new. They needed a protector. They needed something that ensures that a noble lord honors not to harm them. And this is where the church comes in, which will, sooner rather than later, bring us back to why we hold the opinion that we have and why we will not be working with our brother in this advance. Ultimately, all of this culminates in the death and, well, the loss of France forever for the Karling dynasty of Roi Louis V. He passes away in May of 987, and all of a sudden we are even looking at different rulers. This is the period, the transition, away from the Karlings that already began earlier, of course, with the Robertines. This is the transition that are traditionally called in scholarly circles feudal anarchy. This isn't taken to be too literally. I already mentioned that it is dubious whether we actually saw a large-scale increase of violence, but at the very least the perception and the right of governance was seen as something in jeopardy. It is then, in the year 989, that, if I'm not mistaken, roughly somewhere around here in this area, there is held a council, the Council of Charroux. And this one is incredibly important for the perception of what war is, what peace is, and how it should all function, both in France, but also in the wider Western European sphere. This council essentially determined that there are certain groups who are granted immunity from violence as non-combatants. This includes consecrated people, so clerics, monks, virgins, cloistered widows, and so on, consecrated places, churches, monasteries, cemeteries, and other things, and as well as consecrated times. So this includes Sundays, or for example, certain holidays, and so on. This was incredibly vital. Until now, there was no rule for warfare. There was no rule for when your violence is just. Fundamentally, of course, not to go too deep into that right there, governance requires violence, and you shouldn't take this as them essentially turning into firm pacifists that state violence is fundamentally bad. Rather, they are saying violence under certain circumstances is bad. Now, this council was only the very first one of a series of councils. Over the next 50 years, so from 989, there would be 23 additional peace councils in France alone, as well as 3 in Catalonia. This entire thing spread from southern France all the way to northern France, where very early on, first the Dukes of Normandy, and then afterwards, of course, the French kings actually become patrons of this movement. It essentially is a strengthening of the church, whereas in the Carolingian period, the church was incredibly dependent on the Carolingians, their councils, and their will to implement whatever the church had to say. In this case, it was the other way around. Kings, dukes, counts, all of them, all of a sudden, started utilizing the church as a justification for rule, but also for violence. Now, in our case here, as Kunz Roger Bosso, we of course have to say that we are the grandson of Prince Richard I, the Fearless of Normandy. His daughter is one of our parents. There she is, Fredesende de Normandy. So we have, at the very least, some cultural impact there. We are aware of this movement, and maybe we are actually carrying it further down south. Now, over the next century, which we are now almost there, right? We're already in 1074, this movement kept developing. It was primarily something that existed in France, because in France, of course, you had a very cumbersome kind of transition from the Carolingian period into, of course, the Capetian period, making it so that they had plenty of difficulties with peace and, well, legitimacy of rule in southern France in particular. It spread from there, and it spread very deep into Iberia, but also into the Holy Roman Empire. And I think that Roger right here takes inspiration from this when he hears word that the peace of God has been touched, because we are not going to war against Duke Landulf VI We're going to war against the Pope. Think about it. That is exactly what is happening here. The Pope is jumping into, this directly. He is taking part. It's just a frontier raid, to be clear. But it is violence against the church, against the shepherd of all Christianity in person. So, I'm gonna be honest with you. With your poll, you have made a very, very important choice. And that choice is that Kunz Roger Bosso here is one of the people that support this movement. He has not really been quite well defined when it comes to who he is as a ruler. He has been nothing if not pragmatic, but what does that mean? Where does war start? Where does it end? We've always had our issues with it, as we were of course conquering Sicily as well as we were raiding. And it seems that we are now finding a clearly defined line in the sand, where we cannot follow our brother. So, lange Rede, kurzer Sinn. We are here, we get a missive of the intention of our brother. Again, mechanically he can't call us into this, but we are not going to join him. We make that decision very explicitly against our brother. What he is doing is indeed against the word of the church, against the word of God himself. We are, of course, fighting the people right here. This peasant revolt, they are orthodox, so maybe we were indeed right about who was trying to assassinate us. And now it is time that we move and turn what we just established to be true for our character, that he takes this movement and the peace and truth of God incredibly seriously into action. And all of that, my friends, brings us to where we are right now. At the pilgrimage to Monte Gargano, we are rethinking our life. We're rethinking our rule and where we want to be tomorrow. They say many years ago a farmer lost one of his bulls. After searching for hours, he found it by a cave. Yet, no matter what he did, even when he shot an arrow at it, it did not move. The farmer found this odd and asked the local bishop for help. The bishop went inside and saw an apparition of Saint Michael alongside an altar. This is how Gargano became a major pilgrimage site. Do also remember, of course, that Gargano was the location of the camp of the very early Normans under the Dranjos. Today, I have made my way up Monte Gargano to this same sanctuary. Time to go in the cavern to pray to Saint Michael. The cavern is a magnificent place. It is not the magnificence of towering cathedrals or fortresses. It is not the magnificence of a never-ending metropolis. Nay, this is the quiet, subtle magnificence of a place touched by the heavens, and Saint Michael in particular, a place permeating with divine energy. There stands the altar, by which the bishop discovered the apparition of Saint Michael long ago. There, below my feet, is the floor, which is wet from the waters of the holy spring nearby, which some pilgrims desperately lick to gain blessings. And there, fervently praying for the archangel's blessings by the altar, are the other pilgrims. I made my way to the altar, kneel, and begin praying myself. Pray for the health of my mind and body. So this would be Saint Michael the healer, the aspect of Saint Michael right here, that would hopefully give us a blessing. Or alternatively, Saint Michael the warrior. Pray for strength in these difficult times. I think I am asking for health of mind and body so that I can always, truly, be a virtuous ruler no matter what. They say the character was blessed by Saint Michael after going on pilgrimage. Let's hope that we get it. I am not sure. Do we have anything? I don't think we have it. Oh, that is unfortunate. We didn't get a blessing. Although, of course, our character wouldn't really know this. Maybe he just doesn't feel particularly blessed. He feels like not everything is right in the world. After leaving some votive offerings at the altar, I emerge from the cave back into the sanctuary of Saint Michael. I feel and look like a new man. Or at least that's what my companions tell me. While the cult of Saint Michael is strong throughout the world, there is nowhere where it is stronger than here, in Monte Gargano. Or at least it would seem so after visiting it. I am blessed to have been able to make the trip here, and I will surely not forget it. Yeah, we don't have it actually. We get development growth. Oh, that is such a cool reward right here. Every participant gains, of course, also some piety, and because we are diligent, we are losing stress. We were here as a pilgrim, and although we feel conflicted, I think not getting the blessing essentially is us going, we have an obligation to our brother, and yet also to God and the Pope himself. And there he is. 666. That is not a good number. Are you kidding? You made it there with 666 men. And so, as the papal troops march their way south, we have seen the Battle of Civitate. We have visited, and we have gained experience in the open terrain expert. My god, I think it's all actually crashing down on him. He looks at this conflict, and as he makes his way home, everything... Remember, I avoided Salerno. I said to myself, I don't want to be in that location currently held, of course, by the Duclia family, by people that are intruders in this region, and that purposely took it to oppose us after we, of course, dethroned the Byzantines. But what are those problems? What do they matter if the peace of God isn't registered, if it isn't respected by our very own flesh and blood? In the meantime, of course, our army is also marching here into this potential battle. Somebody suggested if I'm not leading it, I should automate this. I don't disagree, but in this constellation, they just are gonna march in there anyway. For any future war where I am not the leader, I'm definitely going to automate it. But for the time being, I am far away from home. And I'm pondering, how much are we losing? How much are we risking our very own souls by this affront against, of course, the Pope himself? We came across ancient ruins in Fouet, which weren't the most spectacular out there, I'm sure, and they weren't that large so we couldn't camp there. Yet, even so, they were quite something to see. My entourage and I had been rather bored from the day's travel on the dreary road, so these ruins gave us something to talk about. Among other topics, we eagerly speculated on why the ancients built the ruins, or which ancients inhabited it, for that matter, and what it must have looked like in its heyday. I do think, especially, and I believe we already encountered a ruin much like this one, but after coming from Normandy, which, in comparison to Italy, is light on ruins, he must be very impressed what he finds. I am coming to a conclusion more and more. I had some trouble role-playing this character, because he is a good one. He is diligent, he is calm, he is just, he is through and through a good man. And yet, the realities of rule always made him do things that, well, weren't inherently good. And it seems to me that slowly but surely he is truly finding himself. He is taking in the greatness that came before him, the greatness that is during him, and you can see it very clearly right here. He is also very cautiously, almost potentially fearfully, observing, of course, the conflict that is now broken loose, that he didn't participate in, I might add, but it does make him feel a little bit different about his brother. As my Flandine grows up, it became apparent to everyone my child is disloyal. I suppose she is a big liar. My god, I suppose she isn't exactly like us, and where did the papal troops go? Did he just despawn them? Anyway, of travels to come. Journeying through Castroviari, I pass by a peculiar-looking tent, splayed open when its yet more peculiar-looking occupant inside. Come in, O mighty Coons. I can tell you have many miles to go, and I can offer you a reading of your future travels for a modest price. The strange man has piqued the interest of my entourage, but am I willing to pay for a reading? He is orthodox. With the ongoing rebellion, and the schism between West and East, and our very clear, in our heart, allegiance to the West, I think I'm not interested here. Oh, and they almost captured Trepane, but our troops, and I think a vassal that wants to be rewarded, actually captured them in time, and with that, the rebellion is over. The Orthodox rose up against me for no reason whatsoever. Our right, well, I thought it not different, but it clearly is. The way I see it now, we must clamp down on them. The papal word is the true word. Going against it won't bring us much other than pain. And my god, look at the troops our brother is mustering here. This is so dire. It's so sad to see. Why did we have to go against our Pope? The womb of the earth, the fields of Reggio de Calabre are a sight to behold. Every crop in bloom, every leaf green, every stem luscious. I quickly tracked down the source of the verdancy, spotting a man standing in a field, seemingly holding a lecture of some sort of gathering of listeners. My name is Master Isidoros. He notices me on the distance and turns to my direction. My knowledge of gardening is vast, yes, incomparably vast, so stay a while and listen. I think we're intrigued by this. I do like the idea of keeping order even in nature. I think that is the role that man has to play on Earth. So I will listen, even if it brings down my prestige. And I've become a gardener. So clearly, we are indeed stressed out by what we have seen, by what we have noticed, and... oh no, they split. The papal troops, they split. And it looks to me as though they are going to falter here. This is the battle, I think. The battle of our brother that matters so much more than anything he did in Constantinople. This is against the Holy Father at the end of the day. My god, I think Coons Roger here is, he is inconsolable. At long last, I am finally home. There's nothing better than arriving back in Messina after a long journey. I look forward to resting for some time, but the call of the road beckons ever onward. My caravan master Abdullah reports that we have journeyed for 219 days and traversed 21 baronies. My god, that is... I never saw that text, to be honest with you. That was a long journey. I think the Pope wins. My god. The invincible Robert. Humiliated. Wow. And he even put in more troops, and yet God is with the Holy Father. Is he commanding this himself? I don't think so, right? I sadly can't take a closer look at this, but I have to assume that this army isn't commanded by the Pope himself. I mean, we'll see once it is over. Blood and spit. Apparently Aria spit in my daughter's Adelise's food during dinner a few nights ago. One of the cooks came upon Adelise getting revenge by spitting in Aria's food in secret. That explains why Aria has been looking a bit green during dinner. My daughter and my niece. Right, she was sent here, of course, by Robert. I don't think you should be deceitful. Don't be so meek, take revenge. No. Turn the other cheek. That is how that is supposed to work. A turn for the best. As my Adelise grows up, it becomes apparent to everyone my child is shrewd. Oh, that's so good. Okay, thank you for notifying me. I am also having a mental break. Now, I'll be honest with you. Doesn't seem very likely that I would turn here. And apparently, oh, and that is interesting. So we are struggling with the role that Robert is playing, but also with erotic fantasies. With all the hardships of my everyday life, it is all too easy to lose myself in daydreams and forget about reality. These desires are clearly interfering with my life, but what should I do about them? I must sequester myself to avoid temptation. The peace of God was first postulated in the meeting of Charroux, as I said, and that was in a Benedictine monastery. I think I might indeed say that I will retreat. I will retain the man that I am in its purities and impurities so that I can be the ruler that my people deserve. I think that is about adequate. It is, of course, a negative, but look at what is coming of my brother Robert. My god, he's actually losing this. That is astonishing. I think our leaning... The conflict between the Stato Pontifico and Pui interested me little, until my council's summary of the Battle of Neapolis appeared. I take a deep breath. Obviously, this isn't quite correct, but you get the drift. So much rests on the fate of my heir. There, amongst the dispatches, it reads, we confirm Serlo was killed staunchly resisting the Pui pikemen. He was resisting them? My god, I believe this to be a scripting error, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that he was resisting the Pui pikemen. He was slain in battle on the side of course, my brother. And now, he's dead. Did he turn during the battle against my brother? I think he did. My nephew decided that the only right thing he could do when he saw the blood of righteous Christians defending the Pope was to side with them, and he was slain as a consequence. This is devastating. The succession of Messene must be looked at once more. You were not ready. My god. Who commanded the papal troops? We have the Alemannic Guard. This is Podesta Durante. Okay, I think the Pope himself wasn't here, which is good news. Much better news. And there's Captain Milico. Orthodox holding to him. The Orthodox are standing with the Pope instead of my brother. It tells me everything I need to know. All of this is devastating. It truly is devastating. And look who actually created the Kingdom of Serbia now. So no longer Duclia, rather the Kingdom. This is a video of setbacks and defeats. Mentally, morally, physically. And now with him dead, Richard, a second nephew, Prince Drojo's son, I will send him, not a gift, I will sway him, I will send him letters that I need him at court if he is to inherit. Which he is, of course, since we don't have a son yet. There is one, it is Jordan, and he has proven himself, admittedly. Maybe I will try and seek legitimization. My god, none of this is genuinely easy. Oh, and it looks as though Eric here actually took to the battlefield. That is a huge mistake. Oh, okay, I'm wrong apparently. Whoa, he is defeating... Yeah, he's defeating the Greeks, from the looks of it. Okay, I didn't know your skill, I underestimated you. He was excommunicated. Oh my god. That is... Whoa. If he is excommunicated, that means that our souls are also at risk. Our brother made a big mistake. A massive mistake. And he is going in again. I think actually, and I was doubting this, I think for the very first time, I will create a cadet branch. The idea is that I want to have our very own lot. I want to separate from, of course, the current leader of the house, Robert, right there. I think it is time, and I think that symbolically, I will raise the banner of the Hauteville, Sicily family. Hauteville Tropea. Right, so I believe we are named after... Tropea is, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, look at that. So it is this bishopric. And the fact that we are named after a bishopric makes it so that I personally would interpret this in such a way that we have chosen a path, well, much more aligned with the church, much more aligned with the Pope, and much less aligned with the rest of our family. We still stand by him because that is our oath, but only if he does the right thing. I think that is a big case there. My God, Roger here had to make so many choices that he would rather not have made. But look at him, he is excommunicated. He lost our nephew who bravely died in battle, fighting for his uncle. And then he turned against him when he realized the misdeed about to be committed against the Pope. Moody weather. Distant rambling. I watched the uncharacteristically fierce storms rumbling across the landscape, a distant boom of thunder from a rank of clowns a scant few miles away. A troublesome deluge. Do the rains indicate some divine problem I failed to ordain? They clearly do! Oh, I'm actually losing my mind. I cannot believe how much the game is playing into our hands right here. Every single sign is pointing to disaster. Either way, I have no wish to be caught in them. I hope God isn't signaling something. I think it's already too late for that. We do apparently also need to upgrade Cousins. I would have to invest some money there. We can do that, that's not a problem. So this is, of course, something that we have to do because of Dark Ages, otherwise this wouldn't grow. And now I'm sick. I woke up today with sore limbs, experiencing vomits, persistent cough, and with an extreme lack of energy. Probably, this is just a passing ailment, but there's always the nagging possibility of being something far worse. Evil tongues might say that it is because my daughters and nieces are spitting into each other's food, and maybe mine as well, but I certainly don't feel that way. My family, us, we're being punished. If you have a better house motto, I like this one, but if you have one that fits Roger, and if you have a better house sigil, please let me know in the comments what you would like to see. Very interested in that, of course. As my position requires, deeply involving myself in the politics of the realm, I exchange arguments, present ideas, defend my viewpoints, and politically backstab other counselors' arguments. Unfortunately, I don't seem to grasp entirely the political angle of the question. It becomes clearer and clearer to me that I will never be a great politician. I am not surprised. By consequence of being a titled character or to have a seat on your liege's council, you had a chance to grasp the political angle. Unfortunately, I did not figure that out. And quite frankly, you know, in fact, I will resign from the council. My brother needs to rethink his ways. He needs to go on a pilgrimage to Rome and beg for forgiveness. I don't see any other way to get rid of the curse that has now befallen our family. Oh, luckily we are healthy again. These times of trials and tribulation, my God. I think I might learn the language of Drotten Erik here so that we can come to a conclusion on the location of southern Sicily. I would, of course, like to, you know, kind of keep it friendly here. I can't start the scheme. I'm going to do it once Richard has been swayed, unless I can already invite him. No, I can't. Okay, once I can invite him, we're going to move that aside. I'm going to learn the language of the Swedes so that I can understand the mercenaries that have taken over southern Sicily. I'll be honest with you, this has been a bad episode so far. In the sense that everything that our character so clearly believes in, thanks to the channel member poll, none of it is holding in these trying times. My God, none of it. Even he hates Prince Robert. Hatred, -14. I don't want to speak of rebellion. I don't. We have so many other people that are tearing on the fabric of this realm. The Orthodox that want to kill me. The Muslims to our south. The Byzantines to the east. Oh my God, there's no way that you dare besiege Rome. Robert, come to your senses. The troops aren't all too equal, and I still think Robert has a bit of an advantage, just because he screwed up when he separately walked, of course, into, oh my God, papal lands. No, this is going to be another thrashing by the Pope, I think. I just don't see how a brother can win this. With the reinforcements coming in, oh, what a close fight, and he loses it. He got humiliated twice. And that's it, that's the end of the war. Liege war ends. He lost the war. Excommunicated. I am now the dynasty head, at least for the time being. Actually, maybe quite permanently, actually. I cannot believe that I'm saying this, and it is not without risk. But Roger has now stayed in Messene after his pilgrimage. He has deliberated with his beloved wife. And now he has been recognized by the Catholic Church. That is what I would argue, where the privilege of dynasty head actually comes from in this case. He has deliberated what must be done. And it is risky. It is terrifying. It is the worst thing that he has ever done. As long as he is not within the purview of the church, he must be denounced. Not just that. He must relinquish what he holds. I will go ahead. I could theoretically maybe request a claim. No, I can't actually. Fair enough. I can claim the title through this interaction. I shall claim Calabre. I will not be underneath his ilk. And I know that this will bring much dishonor. At least the way that the world sees me. A brother betraying a brother. This will be a devastating war. But it will be one that we have to fight if we want to bring justice to these lands. Our brother has betrayed everything that we stood for when we accepted after the Battle of Civitate, which we have visited. After we accepted the Treaty of Melfi in 1059, he has now betrayed it all. He has two allies, one of which, much to my surprise, is the Emperor of the Romans. Then we also have Prince Ramon Berenguer the Old. And what do I have to offer? Rossano, who we cannot use, and the King of Denmark. Now he seems far away, but I actually don't find it that unrealistic that he could make it down here. Or at least rather, I should say, mercenaries. When he does arrive, I would frame it through that lens. That essentially he sends Danish mercenaries the same way that the Varangians would be sent. War is terrible. But at times it is necessary. And at this point, it certainly is necessary. We lose a level of fame, we attacked an ally, and I break the alliance with my brother Robert the Fox of Puy. He has done too much. I can call the King of Denmark, and I shall. Most dishonorably. It is beyond my political capacity, as we are now in the negative for prestige, but it must be done. Can I hire some useful mercenaries? Apparently not, actually. Wow. That's devastating for me. I have to say, that is really devastating. Sir Robert is at war. They're already all booked out. Wow, okay. Well, let me crush my brother. I will, of course, command this on my own, personally. This is going to be a hard fight. A very, very hard fight. I got some Romans in my land. I'm going to wipe them, not distinguishing them and their emperor. Neither of you are friends. I think that much should be clear. It should be an easy victory either way. Robert is a genius tactician. This could be devastatingly terrible. I'm just gonna be honest with you. He clearly boards to meet up with his allies. Maybe we can use this as an opportunity. Oh, and Sir Richard has passed away, but they are still in this camp. Okay. Sir Jourdan of Drangos-Menhir. Still, no, not a single piece of troops. Okay, whatever you say. Can I capture them? Can I destroy them? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't like the odds. Prince Robert of Lanciano has offered me an alliance. He is clearly communicating. I am not alone. Despite what it might look like, this family has a problem. And the problem's name is Robert. And I'm ill again! Oh, the trials and tribulations that I face. That I must undergo. It is dire. I'm healthy again, let's go. Will no one rid me of this turbulent emperor? My god, he really needs to go. I haven't seen Barcelona yet. Ah, they are on their own war. Ooh, lucky. Very, very lucky, in fact. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. We have to crush them before I can do anything else. They are moving to Sicily. Okay. And they are landing. Oh my. They are not landing. Okay. Oh, they are also not landing there. They're landing nowhere. They hate the very idea of landing. I am actually losing my mind from him just going back and forth. That is the most annoying thing I've ever seen. And oh my! Greetings, my sensible liege. Please accept this humble gift. It is not much, but I hope it is of use to our continued friendship. Mayor Adam of Castovillari. My god. He is supporting our war efforts. Remember when we sent grain to the Latins, to Robert, and we lost legitimacy for it? It's so obvious why that is the case. It's time to hire more people. Oh, the conquerors of Barbastro. Oh, this is Frangopoulos. It's just not that many troops, man. That's really what is putting me off here. I think I want to hire something to tackle Robert's most potent forces, which are primarily archers. Okay, interesting. They do have some heavy cavalry, which is pretty bad for us. I might choose pikemen here. I like the Siciliano band of Abruzzi. Let's pick them up. We have yet another set of army. A victorious battle against the Byzantines, a full wipe. And now we stand eye to eye with Robert. Who is leading it? It is, of course, Robert himself. Oh my god, this coward actually retreats through troops that he knows I cannot attack. Oh, our brother. He's a fox, he's a weasel, alright. And folks, there was a lot of back and forth. This campaign has lasted for quite some time. 2 years! And let's be real here, there were some sieges up there. But finally, I think, we have nailed his position down. The Danes at our side. We win. We win! Oh, we win! Oh, this feels so good. You don't know how good this feels for me. We didn't imprison him. Oh, no. We killed one of our family. Son of my half-sister. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. That is all I can say. Offer of peace. Ha! Brother, I don't think so. Enemy ally joins war, Rey Robert? Are you kidding? The English? Oh, oof. We have to finish business here. We have to wrap it up. 2 months. And then his capital falls. Robert has no honor. He doesn't. The siege is won. Apulia has fallen. I have imprisoned my nephew. Is that the heir? It is the heir. And that is the only thing that brings Robert back to the table of negotiation. 3 years ago, this strife began. And now we end it. You can see I hired many people, and it costs me dearly. It really does. But our souls are no longer underneath my brother. Calabria is independent under my hands. Prince Robert the Fox is disgraced as he deserves to be disgraced. The peace of God, at least in my parts, is restored. Folks, my God, Roger has finally taken his own fortune into his own hands, truly this time, and things have changed. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a comment to let me know what you think about the struggles of Roger and of the peace of God that we have at least somewhat reaffirmed here. It is dire. And this rift that has opened up between us, it is not something that I ever wanted, but here we are. Make sure to become a channel member if you enjoy this type of content, and for now, I will see you later, alligator.